All right, so there's a couple ways to get to Remine. You can go through the MRIS website. Once you get through onto the Remine website, so you'll see it here in the quick links, or it'll be in the premium products depending on where they've got it right now. It might ask you what system you're on, Bright, Trend, or whatnot. Hey. All right, so why do you guys want to use Remine? Do you all know?
Yes, I know.
Why?
Because I want to get those listings for those people that are, I want to do some target marketing
Okay, so for listings?
for listings.
Okay. Anyone else got any other answers why they want to use Remine?
It sounds really cool.
Sound because all the other cool kids are doing it? Right. Well, there's one reason why you should be using Remine. Go for it. To make money! Right? You guys are going to make it rain. All right. All right. So, thank you all very much. Try to bring some humor into this. So there's basically, I'm like brand new to Remine, so I am not a certified instructor. I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of what I found useful in this. And I find that there's kind of two kind of avenues I find that this could be really helpful. One, on the listing side, if you farm, kind of getting a little more strategic about your farming. For those of you guys who've done coaching with me, I've talked to you all about, hey, let's try to go in and be strategic, right? If you got a limited budget, let's say you can only mail to 250 homes, and you go into a neighborhood that's got 600 homes. How do you spread your budget out, right? And there's a couple different theories in there, right? You can go into the tax records and look up, okay, who purchased the home longer than 10 years ago? Maybe who, based on when they purchased, might have some equity in the property. But the problem with that is you're really going in and having to dig into every single tax record, right? You got to kind of do a lot of data mining to find that information. Remine kind of does a lot of that for you. You can put parameters in there and it will refine those searches. So that's on the listing side. On the buyer side, I find it's potentially helpful for, especially, I talked to a lot of people beginning of 2018. What was the issue we were running into? Low inventory, right? And my big thing to everyone was go find inventory. Stop waiting for MRIS to come kick up a brand new listing that is going to only last for 48 hours, right? If you're showing up at a brand new active listing, it's too late, right? There's already going to be 8 offers on it. So why not go out there and try to find off-market properties? So this gives you some strategies looking for buyers. Hey, look, this is the neighborhood they want to be in, 600 homes, right? I can handwrite 600 letters, but is there a better way to find, potentially based on some theories I've got, who's going to be more likely, right? If money is no object, then you probably don't need to be in this class, right? But if you want to be smart about your budgets, right, how you're spending your money, I think this tool can leverage kind of your spend on what you'd be kind of blanket marketing, just trying to get some people through the door. All right, so I'll go over real quick kind of, I've got a plus plan. So there's a free account through MRIS. So if you look at plans through MRIS, you've got the starter pack. You can track 100 homes. It gives you property records, property transaction, data MLS, sales score, associated people. The next level up is the plus plan. Lets you track 250 deals, plus property value maps, absentee maps, flood maps, school maps, neighborhood maps, and equity maps. I find that the equity and the absentee are two of the features that kind of got me to push over from starter over to plus. And they're running deals. Remine is like, I was able to get 3 months for half price, so basically 3 months for $45. to figure out if I find it's going to be useful or not. The next level up is the success is 99. And then there's the 199 Pro. The 199 Pro. There are some benefits to it that it's got contact information, household contacts, where they actually mine data as far as email addresses. If you're doing a lot on Facebook, having those email addresses might be worth the investment. But what you may want to do is get it for a month, pay $99 for a month, download this information out of this, and then cancel your plan. You can pretty much cancel it at any time. So there are some advantages to potentially going in and being able to get some of this information that's out there. Full disclosure, I get no money from Remine. I do not think this is the best program ever, right? Your best program probably ever is going to have a coffee or a lunch with one of your sphere of influence clients. But I think this has some, kind of advantages and some resources to make you look a lot smarter too. So, a couple things. Any questions starting off, or are there things you guys absolutely have to cover that you want me to cover right off the bat? Okay. So when you log in, you should be logging in, you'll see a screen like this. It'll be a map. You can search an area based off of a zip code or off of a school, neighborhood, person, office, address, zip. So let's do... Put in an address, pulls this up, and it'll bring you up a property card. So it'll bring up an area. You can zoom over here. There's tools. You can zoom out. If you zoom out too far, it's gonna, so if I zoom out one more section, I lose the blue dots. That means there's too much data on this screen that I need to zoom back in to get the data. So I zoom back in. Now I've got my blue dots back. If you hover over these blue dots, it'll give you individual property information that it's got. Like this is a common area. So these cards will give you single family home. They estimate the number of bedrooms. In Maryland, the tax records don't necessarily have bedrooms and baths. So they guess based off of what the marketplace has. So they go in and look at MRIS data. So this can be a guesstimate, right? Square footage. Again, this is content that's coming off of the public records. This can be inaccurate, we all know. But they're going off of the finished square footage. The value is an estimate. And then the net equity is what they're going off of if you go into land recs, you can pull when people refinance what their mortgage balance was or is. So they're pulling that data as well. They're compiling some of this information to give you this thing called a cell score. So they have 3 levels of cell score: low, medium, and high. The way the person pitched it to me is it's a cherry on top. Like, don't rely on this exclusively, but it's kind of one of those things that it might be a reconfirmation of someone who you're targeting. Is there a neighborhood you want me to look at? Just I can do an example.
So what was the cell score?
What was the cell score?
Yeah, I mean.
So, hey bud, on this particular property, this one was a medium.
Oh, okay. I just can't see it.
Yeah, and I'll show you, you can actually sort by that. So, any neighborhoods you want me to pull up? Okay, so let's wear our listing agent hat for a second. Let's go to Olney Mill. Geographically, Olney Mill is going to be a little big. It's actually pulled Belmont School District. Let me clear that. Let's see. Let's see if it pulls up a neighborhood. Nope, didn't pull it up as a neighborhood.
And you can draw the little, you can draw and pick your,
Yep. So you can. So for Olney Mill, I can use this drawing tool, do a polygram. Oops. Right? Make my points. Right? So now I've got a neighborhood. Double click in the middle of the neighborhood. It's not going to get me close enough to get enough data, so I'm going to have to zoom in. If you are using, if you're doing a bigger neighborhood like this, you'll see up here the results. There's 1,200 results within my map. Right here, do you all see that? Of that, 115 are not in my, let's see, are unmapped listings. So you can, if you have enough and you wanted to track these, and I'll show you how you do that. So we've got this subdivision, right? All of Olney Mill. There's 1,300 results in there. So going through here, you can sort by status, MLS status, coming soon, active, pending. I'm not sure what canceled is. Closed or sold, expired, withdrawn. The expired withdrawn is only going to go back 6 months. The solds are only going to go back 6 months. Got it? You can also last sold price. The two ones that they've looked at that they say kind of give you the best data if you're looking for listings and trying to figure out who's most likely to sell is going to be looking at, let me see here, ownership time and home equity. So the ownership time is right here. So typically someone who's bought the house in the last 5 years, probably not as likely to move, right? Maybe someone who's lived in the house for, let's say, 7+ years is more likely to move. So in here for ownership time, you can do 7, and let's say we do plus. We hit apply. So now that's brought our 1,300 down to 938. So the other thing is going to be home equity. So home equity is the second kind of leading factor that they look at as, again, if someone bought their house, let's say 7 years ago, but they only have 10,000 in equity, they may not be looking to move, right? Someone who's got 200,000 in equity, right? They might be more likely to move. So let's do home equity 200 plus. So you can do 200 plus. You can also set a maximum if you want. So I'm going to apply that. So now 938 went down to 700.
I'm sorry, on
Yep.
the free version, the home equity doesn't appear, just so that if people can't click on it, it's
Yep.
fine.
What's that?
Thanks for saying that. I was wondering where that was.
Okay. Building type. So let's say this was a neighborhood that had singles and towns, right? Let's say we just want to focus on the singles, right? So we hit singles, right? That didn't change the result in Olney Mill. And you'll see up here, we've got these factors start lining up. Oops, sorry. You'll see they start lining up here, right? Do you see that? So it's giving me kind of the criteria I put in here. Absentee, right? So let's say we want only owner occupants, right? We're not going to farm to investors in here. We want, because we're going to door knock and we're going to invite them to a special community event, right? So we only want owner occupants. So owner occupant only, apply. So now our results go down to 644. On the tracking, let's say we want to now mail to, instead of mailing to 1,300 households, now we basically cut this number down in half. If you have, I don't have enough capacity in my plan. For the plus plan, you can only do 250. I think the next one up, you can do 500, and then there's, I think, like unlimited or 1,000. So I can create a label, say, Colony Mill, and then apply. And again, it's telling me I don't have enough capacity in my plan. But I can show you, I did one earlier today. Oops. So we'll go up to track. So I built one out for Williamsburg Village, right? Let me see here. I did. See here. Crud. Do you know, for anyone who's used this a little more, do you know how to go from track to show that it on the map?
Mine shows it on the map.
Okay.
So
Let's go back. Oh, there it is. Okay, so all of these starred properties are the ones I'm tracking currently, right? I set up a search criteria in Williamsburg Village. I drew the map, and I came up with some different factors. So in this situation, I'm able to actually map these, and then I can basically download these as mailing labels, and then create mailing labels, create my mailing that goes out. You can upload this to Facebook. For those of you, I've talked to you guys about doing custom audiences. So you can upload this and create a custom audience. This is not going to give you email addresses. One of the pro plans will. So if you are interested in doing something like that, that might be something to jump on. Do it for 1 month for $99 to pull all that email information out, and then jump out of the plan. So that's kind of how you'd kind of refine a farm area. Does that make sense? What's that? No?
Like, it must be my computer if it's not doing it.
Okay.
No, it's not your fault. I'm just trying to look up. I did only mill and it gave me like a small section.
Let me see.
And I'm looking for an arrow to expand it. So then I changed it to another address.
Yep, so if you look down here at the plus,
Oh.
yeah,
That's what I did.
We should have stuff already set up.
Believe it or not, I used to teach computer application.
All right. So that's a little bit on the list side. So again, out of all of the criteria, you've got last sales price. So you can search by what their last sales price was. You can search by what their interest rate is, right? If you were going to partner with a lender to see who would potentially be a refi candidate. Ownership time, how long they've owned the property, right? We talked about that one. Mortgage age. This is another one that sometimes if someone just refinanced, right, they're typically going to stay. They made that decision to stay a little bit longer. So you might want to knock out some people who just refinanced. Property value. Again, we talked about home equity. So they have this feature called Cell Score. Again, don't rely on it too much.
Yeah, I don't agree with the sales score in a lot of cases, cause it really depends on the size of the house.
Yep. Don't use it then.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just,
Again, this is where this is all automated information, so I'm not going to rely fully on their decision just based on the numbers. Land use, this is not going to be really applicable for us. But building type will, if you're going to separate out the singles from the condos from the towns. There is a flood zone. Absentee is a cool one. Absentee might be a good one to go after to find out-of-state absentee owners, right? These might be really good ones to go out for, and in-state as well. But again, it's one of those ones. This might be a rental. These might be people to gig to see. Hey, look, equities. And again, if you see their equity position has gone up, right? It might be a good person to go after. Cash buyers. So this cash buyer, this means that they did not have a mortgage recorded in the first 48 hours after the transaction. I'm not sure how accurate this is because there's a lot of these. This is meant to say that this could be someone who bought it cash and then they could have refinanced at some point down the road or put an equity line on. I think may have been more of this could be a recording issue, not necessarily what we're seeing as people bought this cash and then refinance it. It's just way too many people who that affects.
So what was the planned use? What was that criteria? Is that like what's going to be planned there or?
Planned use? Land use? Land use. So this is going to look at what the zoning is. Is it residential, commercial, industrial, land, farm?
Okay.
Yeah. On the buyer end, so this can be helpful on the buyer end. Let me take some of this stuff out. Again, potentially trying to find a buyer. Let's say you are looking in a specific neighborhood. Let's go. Remine Oaks. Let's So let's say you are looking for a buyer who's looking to get a townhome in Manor Oaks, right? We could zoom out, go to our polygon, say here to here to here. Here to here. Made our nice little box. Oops. There. All right, so now we're going to go building type. We're just going to look for our townhomes. Apply. All right, so now we've narrowed it down to these. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. What would be a criteria you think most likely to sell for your buyer? Who's most likely to sell?
Equity, people that have sufficient equity or.
All right, let's go to home equity. What's a good equity, let's say on a townhome? What would be a good equity figure?
0 to 250?
yeah.
Okay, so, but someone with 0 you think would be selling?
No, I'm sorry.
250 to 500.
So in a town, so 100, okay?
They don't have 250 equity.
Yeah. So maybe age of the property.
So let's try 100,000.
What about age of the mortgage?
Yeah, that, well, how long you been,
If you can get that.
Okay, mortgage age. So, how old?
5.
5 plus. Want to do 2 plus? So I'm going to do 2 plus up here. One thing you got to keep in mind, so now I did 2 plus. We've got 5 plus and we got 2 plus. So what you got to do is take out the 5 plus.
Right.
See up here, and I just exit out.
Okay.
Right? So just keep that in mind. If you wind up refining one of the criteria, you got to pull out the old.
So, if we're doing 2 plus, and we've got 100,000 in equity, too high?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do
I mean,
maybe-
you have to think about, your budget too, like who you really wanna zero in on mailing to. So
Right, what's 50,000 equity?
I would say,
Yeah,
cause a lot of times with the townhouse, they're just covering their commission, closing costs, and have a little bit to get.
So let's look at 50, how that changes it. So right now we had 49. We'll go to 50. Oops.
and you gotta remove the other one, right?
And if you can't find equity, it's worth, you're on the freebie.
So we added 10 more people into that search.
Yeah, they could afford to move.
Anything else?
For the heck of it, you could look just to see what the sales score was,
Okay.
Yeah.
just to see.
Let me see here. For some reason it doesn't. Let's see if there's anyone. Okay, let's go this way. So there's only one person who has a
High sales score.
high sell score.
I knew that would happen.
All right, I got to go. I'll be right back, y'all. Just checking. Get it?
Gonna make a call?
All right, so these people, based on the program, have a high. But again, I would not rely on that fact. I wouldn't use that factor completely. I was talking to,
But they're worth contacting.
what's that?
They're worth trying to
Well,
get.
yeah, they have a high sales score, but you missed out on some of the other people that might potentially, if they're in a townhouse, be ready to move up.
Yeah. So now, let's say I do want to track these people. So basically, in the tracking program, it will also, you got to put them in tracking to be able to download their mailing labels. And B, it will also has this engage feature that will give you reports if anything changes on any of these 51 people. So I'm going to track these folks. I'm going to create a label. This will be Manor Oaks townhome. Let's do 50K. Okay. And apply. So now the starred on my map are going to be the people who I am tracking. If I go over to track, let me go. See, I should be able to only show.
Because that's Williamsburg Village.
Manage labels?
You got Williamsburg Village in there too somehow.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to separate the two out.
What are you gonna do? Draw another one? Draw another month?
No, 'cause you already have those first three.
Yeah, that I'd have to figure out how to do. Do they have? Yeah, I'm not sure how to separate the two out, so sorry. There's got to be a way. I'll figure it. I'll find that out. So there should be a way that you can just mail to those group. Once you've got them in your track, then they've got this thing called Engage. Engage will give you, again, any updates on if someone has gone on the market, if they've coming soon status, if they've refinanced, if they've done something that shows up in the public records. It's going to show up in here as a report on one of those people. Make sense? Any other questions? Let me see here.
Joe, up in the corner it says track all, so is there a way that maybe you say, does it give you,
But then is it gonna merge them?
It should. So, for instance, if you've drawn this polygon, you've put these criteria on it. What happens is, if let's say they didn't show up in my screen, and I moved over, and there was a section of townhomes over here. If you do hit track all, it will add any extra onto that search, which I had to do in Williamsburg Village, where I took the snapshot, and actually there was like 30 properties that were out of the map. I pulled it down and then hit track all again, and then it added those 30 that met the criteria. So that's just kind of a little bit of a taste of the program. You can also, let me go back. You can also sort your tracking by bathrooms. You can do, so they've got kind of public record information, but they also have property criteria, square footage, year built, lot size, number of floors, bedrooms and bathrooms. So you can also sort, let's say your buyer has got to have a 3+ bedroom, right? Out of these, and let's say they've got to have 4 bedrooms. They've got 3 girls. Baths. Yep.
That's what you just went on.
Yep. 4+ baths. So we
Like,
just
there are
knock.
some of those townhouses in Manor Rose, I guess they were empty, that just have like one full bath. Do you know those? There are some. 4 baths. Does that include half baths?
I am not sure.
I think so.
I would think so.
Yeah, I think so, because when I pulled up something, it gave me a lot of the halves.
So things that were 3+ beds, 3+ baths, cut this list down from 59 down to 23.
And when you click on one of the dots and you can scroll in, you get more and more information
Yep.
on the property. And you have it all right there, so you don't have to go back and forth to MRIS or the tax record or whatever.
So is that really their loan
right there.
balance?
You click on the address. There. I thought it was totally cool. I learned it in a day and just hung out with it.
Oh, yeah.
So this will kind of, this will give you all of the detailed information.
Is that really their loan balance, or they think that's their loan balance?
So based off of what's recorded,
Okay.
that's
Yes.
that's been what's
So if they
recorded.
refinanced, that would change.
And the woman did say that, so they use First American gives them the data. So First American does a lot of this data crunching.
Right there. You scroll down.
Yep. So they also will look at what their mortgage payment should be, and they will calculate some amortization on the loan. So even if she said, even if they bought, let's say they had the loan 10 years ago at a 500 balance, they would amortize that loan down to, let's say, 475 based on them making payments. So again, it's a technology tool. It can help you refine some of your stuff. And I think I look at this as a buyer's agent. I like this a lot for finding off-market properties. I'm always trying to show, because I think that's one of the things you can provide a lot of value, especially as a buyer's agent. There's a lot of pressure on the buy side of the transaction, right? Clients coming in, meeting new people, saying, I've got, I've got Redfin on my phone. I've got all the information I could ever have, more information than you do, right? And my big thing to everyone is, look, what you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg, right? If you're seeing a property that's on the market, it's too late, right?
Right.
You need an agent who's helping you find properties that aren't even on the market.
So you're that agent, so you would go and knock on these people's door
Absolutely.
and just say, hey,
Yeah.
I have people that are looking in this neighborhood.
Absolutely. Yep. And I've done it on two properties, and it's worked. And we actually wound up getting the listing. So,
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than just going randomly to people's houses.
Right.
Hey,
Yep.
I have people that want to move in here. Well, hey, I just moved in 5 months ago. You know, so this
Yep.
way,
Right.
yeah.
gives you a little more
Well,
intel.
I mean,
Yep.
So
And-
really the basic does give you basic, like without,
It
joining.
gives you the home equity as well,
Yeah.
except that you have to click on each one to see the home equity. It
Yep.
doesn't let you sort by the home equity,
Okay,
and that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the biggest missing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and if you look at the difference in them, and I'd say the absentee is one of the pluses in the plus. That's and I guess and then based on your tracking, you'd have to run a couple searches to pull a you know, if you were trying to get a lot of address. If you're doing farming, you'd probably have to almost go to the plus to try to have enough to make it make sense so you can download enough labels.
Right. Is there anybody in here that has plus or no?
We went for success, and we got half off for the first 3 months, but I'm just not sure what we're doing right now, because we went through a training and, we got a bunch of stuff set up, and then we left town, so now I
Now
thought
we
this
can't find
might
the stuff
help me
that
get
we
that
said.
straight, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you want people's phone numbers and email addresses, if you really wanna go,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right, right.
which is, yeah, I guess it just depends on what you're
Door
doing.
knocked.
It
If you
really
want the
just depends on
information,
what
you
you're
gotta
doing,
go.
Mhm.
Right.
you know?
Yep. So, any questions on that? And if you, and again, I've got an account, so if you want to demo with me or try my account out, I'm not sure how I can let you use it, but if you've got questions,
What type of account do you have?
I've got the plus.
Okay.
So I'm trying it for 3 months just to see.
Right.
I may jump to the pro for 1 month to pull
Household information.
yeah to
Yeah,
pull
you're
some of
saying
the email addresses.
And then you cancel.
Yeah, and then I
So
cancel it.
You'll
Yeah.
still have the information.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing. But I don't farm, so I don't see it's a big value. You know, and Facebook allows you to do some things geographically. You know, if you are trying to kind of pinpoint a target market for one of your listings, try to advertise. But if you do farm, I think doing the pro for a month might be a really good
Right.
option to try to get as much of that information out. Because it's going to be kind of stagnant. You know, I mean, once you pull that information, you probably won't need it again for at least another 6 months, hopefully, right? So,
Well, you have to figure too, if you get yourself established, then you're established. Like, you might not ever need to do it again.
Right.
Because you
You've
made a
already-
name for yourself.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Right.
cool.
Cool.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, good luck with it.
Thank